Aurora Weston stepped out of Incheon Airport with the wide-eyed excitement of someone seeing Seoul for the very first time. The neon lights glowed like floating stars, and the evening breeze carried the scent of roasted chestnuts and street music. She clutched her sketchbook close, her fingers stained faintly with charcoal. This was supposed to be the beginning of her dream, an internship at one of Korea's rising fashion studios. But destiny had rewritten the script. On her way to her hostel, Aurora took a route she found online, shorter, quieter, and supposedly safer. What she didn't know was that the alley she entered had been sealed off minutes earlier for a covert police surveillance operation targeting the Ryu syndicate, one of the most feared underground networks in Seoul. She turned a corner, and froze. A group of plainclothes officers, panicked and unsure, mistook her for the courier they were desperately trying to intercept. Before Aurora could speak, someone grabbed her wrist. A voice whispered harshly, "You shouldn't have come here." Her sketchbook fell to the ground. Within minutes, she was shoved into the back of a black van. The officers argued she didn't match the description, she looked too young, too lost. But their superior barked, "We can't risk exposure. Hand her over. They'll know what to do." Aurora's heart pounded. Hand her over? To who? The van stopped in front of an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. Dim lights flickered inside. Men in tailored suits stood waiting, their expressions unreadable. One of them stepped forward, tall, broad-shouldered, eyes sharp with authority. Ryu Min-Jae. As Aurora was pushed into his presence, he studied her silently, then narrowed his eyes. "This is not the girl we were promised." And for the first time, fear and curiosity flickered in his gaze. Aurora's footsteps echoed in the massive warehouse as she was led into a circular room glowing with low amber lights. It looked nothing like the chaos she just escaped. This place was too organized, too quiet, too dangerous. Long tables stretched around the room, each occupied by sharply dressed men with cold eyes and colder intentions. They weren't strangers. Aurora recognized the symbols on their rings from documentaries and warning posts online. The Ryu syndicate. A man whispered something into Min-Jae's ear. Min-Jae's jaw tightened. "This isn't her," he repeated. His voice was low but carried across the room, drawing the attention of every powerful figure seated there. The men began murmuring, irritation rising like heat from the floor. One slammed his fist onto the table. "We paid for a message to be delivered. Not a useless stranger." Aurora swallowed hard. I don't even know why I'm here." Her voice silenced the room. Min-Jae turned toward her fully now, studying her the way a strategist studies a puzzle piece that doesn't belong, but might fit somewhere unexpected. His gaze wasn't lust or anger. It was calculation. "What's your name?" he asked. "Aurora Weston." The way she said it, steady even in fear, made him pause. Another man pulled out a tablet showing contracts and transaction logs. "We can't delay the deal. If she's the wrong girl, replace her." "She'll do." Min-Jae's eyes flashed, and for a moment Aurora saw something human beneath the iron mask. Discomfort? Disapproval? "No," Min-Jae said. "She stays with me until we find out who sent her." Gasps rippled through the room. No one refused the syndicate's demands like that. Aurora felt her spine tighten. She had no idea why he chose to protect her, but the decision just changed everything. Aurora was escorted into a secluded chamber deep inside the warehouse. The walls were lined with dark wood, the air carrying a faint scent of incense and cold steel. It looked less like a prison and more like a place meant for private negotiations, one she wanted no part of. Min-Jae entered a moment later, closing the door behind him with a soft click. He didn't look at her right away. Instead, he stood in silence, hands folded behind his back, as if weighing a decision that carried consequences. "You are not who they expected," he finally said. Aurora hugged her arms around herself. "I told you I was just walking. I don't know anything about your organization." Min-Jae turned, his gaze sharp enough to cut the truth out of any liar. But Aurora didn't flinch. She met his eyes with the quiet bravery of someone who had endured fear before but refused to be defined by it. Her sketchbook was on the table beside him, pages slightly bent from the earlier struggle. He opened it. His eyes skimmed the precise drawings, street corners, faces, patterns, captured with almost eerie accuracy. "You remember details unusually well," Min-Jae observed. "It's just how I draw," she replied softly. "It's more than that." His expression changed, the smallest flicker of intrigue. "People like you don't just wander into restricted zones by accident." "I did." He studied her again as though searching for cracks in her story. But everything about Aurora, Her steady breathing, her honest fear, her stubborn calm, told him she wasn't lying. Outside the room, raised voices erupted. Someone yelled, "Hand her over. She's a liability." Min-Jae closed the sketchbook decisively. "She stays under my protection." Aurora's breath caught. Why was he defending her? And why did his eyes suddenly look less dangerous, and more curious? Min-Jae led Aurora through a dim hallway into what looked like a private residence hidden inside the fortress-like warehouse. Traditional Korean panels blended with modern steel, cold, elegant, and intimidating. He motioned for her to sit. "You will stay here for now," he said. Aurora's voice trembled slightly. "You say, protection, but from who? Your people, or you?" Min-Jae paused, caught off guard by her directness. "From anyone who misunderstands your presence here." He didn't answer the second part. Before she could push further, the door slid open with a soft swoosh. Soren Kang entered. Tall, sharp-jawed, dressed in a wine-colored suit that looked too luxurious for this place. His smile was easy, effortless in a way that made Aurora instinctively step back. "So this is the girl causing all the noise," Soren said, circling her like she was a rare artifact. "Aurora. Interesting name." Min-Jae's tone chilled. "Don't touch her. Relax, cousin. I'm only observing." Soren leaned closer to Aurora, lowering his voice. "You must be special for Min-Jae to break protocol. He doesn't do that. Ever." Aurora frowned. "I didn't ask him to." Soren chuckled. "Exactly. That's what makes it fascinating." Min-Jae cut in sharply. "Soren, enough." Soren's playful mask slipped for a split second, revealing something sharper beneath. Ambition. Calculation. A hidden agenda. He straightened. "Fine. But remember, Min-Jae, when you claim a piece, everyone starts wondering why." With that, he left, the air tightening behind him. Aurora turned to Min-Jae. "He doesn't trust you." "He doesn't trust anyone," Min-Jae replied. Then, softer, "including me." For the first time, Aurora sensed something deeper. These men weren't just dangerous. They were fractured. And somehow, she had stepped right into the crack. Aurora waited until the hallway outside grew quiet. Too quiet. Min-Jae had left to attend an emergency meeting, leaving only 2 guards stationed near the entrance. She had no time to waste. If she stayed here any longer, she feared she might never see the outside world again. She pulled out a page from her sketchbook, one she'd drawn earlier when they escorted her through the corridors. With her photographic memory, she had sketched the layout of every corner, every door, every pattern on the floor tiles. Now it was her map to freedom. She crept toward a side door Min-Jae hadn't locked, slipping into a narrow maintenance tunnel. Pipes hummed overhead. The air smelled of metal and dust. She moved quickly, her heart pounding in her throat. Just a few more turns. Just a few more steps. Footsteps approached. Aurora pressed herself against the wall, holding her breath as a guard passed by. When he disappeared around the corner, she sprinted. The exit was in sight, an emergency door leading into the night. She pushed it open and ran straight into someone's chest. Strong hands gripped her arms before she fell. Min-Jae. His eyes weren't angry, they were burning with something far more unsettling. "You were going to leave," he said quietly. Aurora lifted her chin. "Of course I was. I don't belong here." His jaw tightened. "You would have been caught by someone far less forgiving." "Well, you weren't here." "I was," he said, stepping closer. "But not in time." Before she could respond, shouts echoed behind them, guards alerted by the door alarm. Min-Jae pulled her behind him protectively. "You're not a prisoner, Aurora," he said softly, "but you can't walk out of here alone. Not tonight." And for the first time, she believed him. Min-Jae led Aurora back inside through a hidden staircase that bypassed the guards now scrambling around the alarm. His grip wasn't rough, but firm, like someone afraid she might disappear if he let go. When they reached his private quarters, he finally released her. Aurora stepped back immediately. "You can't keep me here," she said, voice trembling with anger and exhaustion. "I'm not keeping you," Min-Jae answered. "I'm keeping them away from you." Outside, the echo of raised voices rose like a growing storm. Aurora caught fragments. Why is she still here? A foreign witness is dangerous. Min-Jae is hiding something. Min-Jae's father, Lord Ryu Taesung, stormed into the hall. Even through the closed door, Aurora felt his presence. Heavy, commanding, the kind of authority built on decades of fear. He shouted, "Bring the girl out. I'll handle this myself." Min-Jae stiffened. For the first time, Aurora saw uncertainty flicker across his usually unreadable face. "You're afraid of him," she whispered. Min-Jae didn't deny it. Everyone is. The door shook as someone tried to force it open. Aurora stepped back, panic rising. What is he going to do to me? Min-Jae turned to her sharply. Nothing. Not while I'm here. The door cracked open, then slammed shut again as Min-Jae locked it. Voices roared outside. You dare defy me, Min-Jae? She is a liability. The syndicate cannot risk exposure. Min-Jae exhaled slowly, like a man choosing betrayal over obedience. You shouldn't be involved in this, he said, softer now. But you are. And I won't let them harm you. Aurora stared at him, stunned. What? You don't even know me. His eyes held an emotion he hadn't shown before, one he tried hard to hide. I know enough, he said. Outside the shouting grew louder. Inside everything between them changed. The shouting outside eventually settled, but the tension in the air wrapped around Aurora like invisible chains. Min-Jae paced the room, calculating, his mind clearly racing. Aurora could see the weight of leadership pressing on him like armor he never asked to wear. A soft knock broke the silence. Before Min-Jae could react, Soren slipped inside, closing the door behind him. His smile was too calm for the chaos outside. Well, Soren said, brushing imaginary dust from his sleeves, it seems you've created quite the storm over one girl. Aurora stepped back instinctively. Min-Jae moved slightly in front of her. Soren, Min-Jae warned, this isn't the time. Exactly why I'm here, Soren replied, eyes glittering with something dangerous. Time is running out, cousin. For all of us. He walked closer, hands in his pockets, tone dropping to something sharper. You think protecting her will fix anything? The old man is furious. The council is questioning your loyalty. And now? He paused, turning his focus to Aurora. Now we find out your little guest has seen more than any outsider should. Aurora frowned. I don't know anything. Soren's smile widened. Oh, but you do. He pulled out a small device and projected security footage onto the wall. A brief clip played, Aurora being dragged through the alley during the botched surveillance. Frozen in one frame behind her was a board of coded symbols the police were tracking. Symbols only the syndicate used. Soren stepped closer, studying her face. Look at the pattern. She saw it. Someone with her memory doesn't forget. Min-Jae's eyes widened slightly. Soren leaned back, voice cold. She's not an accident. She's leverage. Then he whispered to Min-Jae. And with her, I can finally take what should have been mine. Aurora's breath hitched. This wasn't a family struggle. This was war. The alarms shattered the tense silence like glass. Min-Jae spun toward the window as a second explosion rattled the compound. Smoke curled into the night sky, lit by flashes of red emergency lights. The syndicate wasn't under attack from outsiders. It was collapsing from within. Soren's voice echoed faintly from the hallway, issuing commands with smooth authority. Seal the exits. Min-Jae doesn't leave this building. Aurora's blood ran cold. He's taking over. Min-Jae grabbed her hand. We're leaving. Now. He led her through a back corridor she hadn't seen before. The floor trembled under their feet as fire consumed part of the east wing. Shouts, gunshots, and splitting wood filled the air like a rising storm. Aurora stumbled but didn't let go. Min-Jae kept checking behind them, not for enemies, but for her. He shielded her every time debris rained from the ceiling. They reached a steel door leading to the loading docks, but Min-Jae stopped abruptly, his expression tightening. Two armed men blocked the exit. They're Soren's, Min-Jae whispered. Aurora's heart hammered. What do we do? Min-Jae stepped forward, voice cold and commanding. Stand down. The men hesitated for one breath, then attacked. Min-Jae moved with terrifying precision, disarming one with a swift strike and throwing the second against the wall. Aurora gasped, not in fear but in realization. He wasn't fighting to win. He was fighting to protect her. As the path cleared, Min-Jae grabbed her hand again. Stay close. Aurora's voice trembled. Why risk yourself for me? He didn't answer immediately. The firelight flickered across his face, exposing the truth he'd been hiding. Because letting them hurt you, he paused, would make me no different from them. Before Aurora could respond, a new shadow appeared. Soren. Blocking their escape. His smile was colder than the flames behind them. Soren stepped forward, the fire crackling behind him like a crown of flames. His perfect suit was dusted with smoke, but his smile remained untouched, dangerous, almost delighted. Well, he said softly. Running away already, cousin? Min-Jae pushed Aurora slightly behind him. Move, Soren. This doesn't involve her anymore. Soren raised an eyebrow. Oh, but it does. More than you realize. He snapped his fingers. One of his men tossed a tablet toward Aurora. It slid across the floor and stopped at her feet. The screen showed a pattern, the same coded symbol board she'd seen by accident during the alley incident. But this time the codes were clearer and familiar. Aurora's breath caught. I've seen this before. Soren smirked. Exactly. You memorized it, didn't you? Even without trying. Min-Jae looked back at her, realization dawning. Aurora, can you remember the entire sequence? She hesitated, heart pounding. Yes. It's in my head like a picture I can't erase. Soren clapped slowly. That code controls every offshore vault our dear Uncle Taesung has hidden. Billions. Power. The entire spine of this syndicate. He leaned forward. And I want it. Aurora whispered, so you attacked the compound, for money? Soren's smile dropped. For destiny. The air tightened as he stepped closer. Min-Jae positioned himself like a shield. Aurora, Min-Jae said softly without looking back, tell me the sequence. She closed her eyes, the pattern unfolding in her mind like a glowing map. I'll only tell you, she said quietly. Not him. Soren's expression cracked, pure fury. That, he hissed, was the wrong choice. He lunged. Min-Jae intercepted him, the two crashing into a stack of crates. Sparks flew, debris fell, and Aurora stumbled back, clutching her sketchbook like a lifeline. The building trembled around them. This wasn't just a fight for power. It was a fight for truth, and for her life. Soren swung at Min-Jae with raw fury, no longer the charming strategist but a man consumed by ambition. The warehouse groaned as flames crept across the ceiling. Aurora ducked behind a fallen beam, fear twisting her stomach. Min-Jae, she shouted. He turned just in time to see Soren raising a metal bar. Min-Jae blocked the blow, countering with a strike that sent Soren stumbling across the floor. But Soren wasn't finished. You think you can protect her? Soren spat. She's the key to everything. With her memory she could rebuild the entire empire. Min-Jae stepped between Soren and Aurora again. She's not a tool. And I won't let you use her. Soren rushed forward but the burning structure finally gave way. A beam crashed down, separating him from them. Flames closed around him as he backed away, his figure fading behind the smoke. You haven't won, he shouted. This is only the beginning. Min-Jae didn't look back. He grabbed Aurora's hand and pulled her toward an emergency exit as the building shook violently. They burst into the night air just as the roof collapsed behind them. Outside, police sirens wailed. Aurora blinked at the rows of officers surrounding the compound. Min-Jae exhaled slowly. It seems someone leaked everything, he said. Aurora glanced at him. You? No. His eyes softened. But maybe it's time someone dismantled what my family built. She realized what he meant. The codes she remembered weren't just power. They were proof. Evidence. A way out of the darkness. Hours later, as dawn painted the sky soft pink, Min-Jae stood beside her near the riverbank. No guards. No syndicate. Just him, quiet, exhausted, free. Aurora, he said, voice low, I don't know where my life goes from here. Exile. Prison. Maybe peace. He met her eyes. But, would you walk with me into a future neither of us expected? Aurora stepped closer, heart steady. Yes. And together they walked into the rising sun, toward a destiny rewritten by courage, truth, and an unexpected connection that refused to break.